In 2003, Google's CEO said something that should terrify anyone trying to get attention online. He said, "We create as much information every 2 days as humanity created from the dawn of civilization up until 2003." And that was over 20 years ago. Today, that same amount of information is probably being created every few hours. So here's the brutal truth: your content isn't competing with other content in your niche. It's competing with everything, every cat video, every political rant, every recipe, every meme, everything. But here's what most people get wrong: they think the solution is to create more content, better content, louder content. That ship has sailed. The real solution is understanding how the human brain actually processes information. And it starts with one word: emotion. Today, I'm going to show you a framework that cuts through all that noise. It's called the Emotion Logic Action Framework, and once you understand it, you'll never look at content the same way again. We're going to cover four things. First, the three-part hierarchy that determines whether people pay attention to you or scroll right past. Second, the 10 emotional benefit categories that every successful product taps into. Third, a simple formula for status updates that actually convert. And fourth, a psychological principle called cognitive ease that makes your content more believable just by how you write it. And I'm going to end with a story about a Starbucks bathroom that will change how you think about the last line of everything you create. Let's get into it. Let's start with the most important thing you need to understand about human attention. Emotion is faster than thought. I want you to really let that sink in. When someone scrolls through their feed, they're not carefully analyzing each piece of content, they're feeling their way through it. Something either grabs them emotionally in a split second or it doesn't. This is why every piece of content you create needs to follow a specific hierarchy, and the order matters. First comes emotion and benefits, second comes value and steps, third comes logic and features. Most people get this completely backwards. They lead with features, they lead with specifications, they lead with logic, and then they wonder why nobody cares. Think about it this way: nobody wakes up in the morning and says, "I really need a product with 360-degree rotation and a 12-hour battery life." They wake up thinking, "I'm exhausted. I need something to make my life easier." The emotion comes first, always. So, how do you identify the emotional benefits of what you're offering? Dr. Jeffrey Lant identified 10 benefit categories that every product or service taps into. And I want you to think about which ones apply to what you do. The first is financial stability. People want to feel secure about money. The second is health. Physical well being is a primal concern. The third is love, connection with others. The fourth is security, safety from threats. The fifth is salvation. This can be spiritual or it can be about being saved from a bad situation. The sixth is self regard, how people feel about themselves. The seventh is community and peer recognition, how others see them. The eighth is independence, freedom, and autonomy. The ninth is sexual fulfillment. And the 10th is beauty and personal attractiveness. Now, here's the key insight: every single thing you sell or promote connects to at least one of these. Your job is to figure out which ones and lead with that emotional benefit. Let me give you an example. Say you're a plumber. The logical approach is to talk about your certifications, your equipment, your years of experience. But the emotional approach, that's talking about the peace of mind of knowing your pipes won't burst in the middle of winter. That's security. That's financial stability. That's self regard because they made a smart decision. See the difference? Same service, completely different appeal. Now let's talk about the formula for content that actually converts. Every good status update, every good piece of content follows the same basic structure. Four parts. First is the headline. This is what grabs attention. Make it short. Hit the biggest emotional benefit right away. You can use text decorations like brackets around words like brand new or warning to grab an extra split second of attention. That split second is often all you need for someone to decide whether to keep reading. Here's a practical tip: go to your favorite popular websites and look through their archives. Find their most popular articles and save those headlines in a spreadsheet. When you need to write something new, look through that list and see if any of those headline templates work for your topic. You're not copying, you're using proven structures. Second is the lead. That's spelled LEDE, the journalism term. It's one or two sentences that introduce your content and entice the reader to continue. If you read any newspaper, you'll notice that almost every article has a headline and a lead. Many websites put the lead in larger font above the main text. It's a bridge between the attention grabbing headline and the meat of your content. Third is the steps to solving. This is where you give actual value, give information that the reader can implement immediately to see a positive result. Lists work really well here because they're easy to scan and follow. And fourth is the call to action. If you want the sale, ask for it. If you want a comment, ask for it. If you want them to subscribe, ask for it. But here's the secret weapon: use the word because. Instead of saying join my newsletter by clicking here, say join my newsletter by clicking here, because if you don't change anything today, how will tomorrow be any different? The word because helps people justify taking action to themselves. It's one of the most powerful words in the English language. Now, let's talk about something that will make your content more believable without changing what you say. It's called cognitive ease. Daniel Kahneman won a Nobel Prize for his research on how we think, and one of his findings was this: we have a tendency to believe and trust information that's easier to process. Read that again. If a statement is easier to read, it's more believable, not more accurate, more believable. This means that simplifying your writing doesn't just make it more accessible, it makes it more persuasive. Using bold text, using simple sentence structures, avoiding jargon, all of these things reduce what's called cognitive strain. And when cognitive strain goes down, perceived believability goes up. There was a study with a brilliant title called Consequences of Erudite Vernacular Utilized, Irrespective of Necessity, which is a fancy way of saying problems with using long words needlessly, and it showed exactly what you'd expect. The more jargon and complex wording you use, the less believable you seem, so respect cognitive ease. Keep it short, keep it simple, avoid jargon, and use formatting to highlight your key points. You'll appear more trustworthy without changing your actual message. Now, let me tell you about that Starbucks bathroom. There was a Starbucks near my old place that was perfect for working. Big wooden tables upstairs, lots of light, always quiet. I'd go there, have some water, a double espresso, work for a couple hours. Then I'd need to use the restroom before leaving. So I'd pack up my stuff, head downstairs, walk down this narrow hallway to the two bathroom doors. I'd push the first one, locked. Someone sheepishly says occupied. I'd push the second one, it opens, and then someone pushes it back shut from inside. They forgot to lock it. So now I'm leaning against the wall, waiting for either one to finish. When they come out, we exchange that awkward smile. You know the one. Neither person wants to smile, but both feel bad not smiling. Here's the point: my final experience before leaving that Starbucks was not positive, and that last impression shapes my emotional opinion of the entire place. Now imagine if whoever designed that bathroom had just put those locks on the door that show green when it's open and red when it's occupied. Airplanes figured this out decades ago, such a small thing, but it would have completely changed my final emotional experience. This is the lesson. The last line of whatever you create needs to stir something in your reader. It could be food for thought, it could be a strong quote, it could make them smile, it could even make them a little angry. Emotional sharing is what pushes content online. People don't share information, they share feelings. And the feeling they're left with at the end is the feeling they'll associate with you. So don't just end your content, end it with emotional resonance. Let's bring this all together. First, remember the hierarchy. Emotion and benefits come first, value and steps come second, logic and features come last. Most people get this backwards and wonder why nobody pays attention. Second, tap into the 10 benefit categories: financial stability, health, love, security, salvation, self regard, peer recognition, independence, sexual fulfillment, and personal attractiveness. Your content should connect to at least one of these. Third, follow the formula: headline, lead, steps to solving, call to action, and use the word because in your call to action. Fourth, respect cognitive ease. Simpler writing is more believable writing. Avoid jargon. Use formatting to highlight key points. And fifth, remember the Starbucks bathroom. Your last impression determines the emotional takeaway. End everything with resonance. If this changed how you think about content, I want to hear which insight hit you hardest. Drop it in the comments. And if you want more frameworks like this that actually work, subscribe and hit the notification bell. I break down practical strategies every week that you can implement immediately. I'll see you in the